What's going on, everybody? Back again, the Dale Valor's Inner Game Podcast. And today we got just a great episode lined up. We were cut our teeth on the first one, and now we're back again, ready to roll. And just so you guys know, if you didn't catch the first episode and you're hopping in now, what we do here is we talk about all the inner game concepts. What are inner game concepts, right? Inner game is all the things that is holding you back, self-sabotage, shooting yourself in the foot. Maybe it's due to overthinking. Maybe it's due to a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem. Maybe it's trust issues. Maybe you have a hard time building a connection and you just have these voices, these nagging voices in your head telling you that you can't achieve the things that you want to achieve, whether it's in relationships, whether it's with your health, whether it's with your finances, any one of those things, and they're all interrelated. Make no mistake about it. Maybe self-discipline's a thing. It could be any litany of things going on with you that is holding you back. Your mindset. That's really where inner game really comes into play. Is not really what you're doing in regards with other people. It's the relationship that you have with yourself. Okay, and so that's what we do. Is we talk about those types of issues here. Maybe you need to overcome some trauma. Maybe you have anxiety. There's any number of things that we can talk about, and that's what we're going to do. And as always, got my trusted confidant, Shabam.
Hello, hello.
Sitting in, breathing really hard.
So I hope not too hard.
Yeah. So what's good, brother?
Pretty good, man. So I had we as we spoke before, I took a look in our Facebook group, and we actually have a lot of questions for the day. So without beating around the bush, let's get into some of the most common ones, that dropped up.
All right.
Most of the guys in the group said that they have some limiting beliefs, like you said, which is kind of our topic for today. The most common limiting belief turned out to be that they are not good looking enough.
Okay.
That now there's a multitude of factors that come into it. Some people think they're not tall enough, some think they're not buff enough, and some people they the quote unquote handsome enough. Right. So what would you say to that? How would you get out of that negative mindset?
That's super common. Right. You see that type of thing all the time. And just before I get into it, let me just say this. If you aren't a member of our Facebook group, there's over 3,600 guys that are in that group, and I would love for you to be one of them, because we can talk about these types of things almost in real time. It's not like a thing of like, man, oh man, I hope that Dale touches on a topic that relates to me. You drive the ship, bro. You tell me what you want to talk about. We can talk about it, but the only way that that's going to happen is if you're a member of the Facebook group. It's Modern Flirting, Inner Game for Success-Minded Men. All right. All you got to do is send a request. I'll put you in. Boom. You're there. Now we can talk about it. We can really go deep, So yeah, but in regards to the thing with looks, you see that so often, right? Where we'll just say a guy, he's not having the best success with women, with dating, with relationships, and his frame of reference is he chalks it up to, I'm not X enough, right? Whatever X is, like you said, it could be, I'm not tall enough. Girls only date guys that are 6 feet tall and taller. Well, guess what? I got news for you. That's like 8% of the population. Okay. So, clearly girls are dating guys that are under 6 feet tall. How do I know that? Because you exist. You know what I mean? Like your dad, the likelihood is your dad isn't 6 feet tall. Okay.
Yep.
If only 8% are taller than 6 foot tall, the odds stack very heavily that your relatives are not 6 feet tall. Okay. And yet here you are, and I'm sure that you see many a guy that goes out with women that or women that go out with men that aren't 6 feet tall, right? I mean, it's just, as a matter of fact, it's more normal just on the strength of numbers, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it could be, I'm not buff enough. Well, what's buff enough? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have to look like a power lifter? Or these guys that are like in these bodybuilding competitions? As a matter of fact, most women don't find those guys particularly attractive. Like, because their body is so massive and bulky, and it's like, I've heard different women say it's like trying to hug a rock, like it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah. you know, and so, okay, so what is buff enough, right? I'm not, could be anything. I'm not handsome enough. Well, who is handsome enough? Everybody always points to the outlier, right? Everybody always points
Exactly.
to the extreme. Well, I don't look like Brad Pitt. Okay, guess who does? Brad Pitt. And that's it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He's the only one. And maybe some random ass Brad Pitt impersonator somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So people always point to the extreme. And it's like, okay, fine. You're not Brad Pitt. Guess what? Neither is anybody else. All right. You can take, I don't make enough money. What's enough? Do you gotta be, have Bill Gates money? Like, look at Jeff
Exactly.
Bezos. His wife left him. He's got all the money in the
Yeah.
world, man.
Not only like even Bill Gates recently got a divorce. So
Yeah.
like,
So,
as if money would make, everything fixed out,
right.
that's not how it works.
I don't drive a nice enough car. What's a nice enough car? See, here's the problem with this line of thinking. Firstly, you need to reframe it. But even before you reframe it, think of it from a logical perspective. Okay. Um, Whatever it is that you're going to try to achieve to be in order to, okay, we'll just say going to the gym, right? We'll say I'm a guy that's, 200 pounds and could stand to lose 20 pounds of fat and put on 10 pounds of muscle. You'd be in
Yep.
pretty good, we'll say the guy is 6 feet tall, okay? 6 foot even. You'd be in pretty good shape if your body fat percentage is around 8% or something like that, and you're 190 pounds. Yeah, you're in pretty good shape. Okay. So that person does that, we'll say. All right, if he doesn't know how to communicate, if that's all that he's leaning into is the fact that he's in pretty good shape, this guy's got a rude awakening coming his way. All right. Because guess what? That's not going to be enough. Because it's just not. All right. And so what is this guy left to think? Oh, well, now I need to do this. Maybe my biceps just need to be bigger. Maybe that'll be the trick. He gets his biceps bigger. Oh, maybe it's my face. Dude goes, gets plastic surgery. Okay. Well, maybe it's my fashion sense. Guy goes, buys a new wardrobe. Well, maybe it's my teeth aren't white enough. The guy goes, gets veneers. Well, maybe it never ends,
Exactly.
right? Because they're looking at it from the wrong perspective. They're looking at it from a thing of, this is what I think that women are going to be attracted to. This is what I think that they should be attracted to. And so if they're not, I can't be wrong. So, because if I'm wrong, then I'm doing all this, and then I really don't know where to go with it from there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So I can't be wrong. So they're going to continue to double down and lean into that. I gotta be more. I gotta be more. I gotta change this. I gotta change that. Now, make no mistake. I'm not saying that making changes in your life is a mistake. Okay. I'm not saying
Yeah.
at all. Everybody should be looking to level up in every aspect of their life. But if the mindset behind it is to try to get something as opposed to try to be something, that's where there's a little bit of uh, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? That's where a lot of the mistakes are going to be made. Okay, because you're always trying to, instead of being, you're trying to get with this, right?
Exactly.
If I'm
And
attractive enough, I will attract these things into my life. Well, okay, you may be physically attractive enough, but the problem is that's only one piece of the puzzle. So if I have a 100 count puzzle box, right? And I open it up, and we'll just say, you know how they always show you what the picture is
mhm,
supposed to be on the front.
yeah,
We'll say
exactly.
it's just some mountain, so
Mhm,
serene. It's
mhm,
beautiful. It's just a big old mountain,
mhm,
and I got 100 puzzle pieces to make this mountain a reality. Okay,
mhm,
I could have the tip of that mountain, which is the ascension point that everyone's ever
mhm.
that's what makes it the mountain. No one looks at the base of a mountain and is like, that's a mountain.
Exactly.
What they look at
Yeah,
is the very tippy top point. When mountain
right.
climbers are mountain climbing, they're not going from down up. I mean from up down is what I mean to say. They're not going.
Mhm,
A helicopter isn't dropping them off on the peak and they have to climb their way down, right? They're starting at the
mhm,
bottom and they're working their way up. So the peak is
right.
the pinnacle. You may have that peak pinnacle piece, but you don't have the full picture. All you have is one piece of that picture that you think is the pinnacle. I've got the pinnacle. That's all I need. Nah, man, you need it all. You need all those other
Exactly.
pieces too, right?
Like I think, because I think that's what actually most guys get wrong, is that they try to fit, let's call it someone else's puzzle. Like, I would say that is a better example, simply because, okay, rather than being the best version of what you can be,
Uh-huh.
you're seeing someone else be a certain way and trying to fit yourself to that person's, like you said, puzzle.
Right.
So say for example, you think Brad Pitt is successful with women, whatever. So now you're gonna try to copy everything he does. That probably won't work because you are a different person to him.
Right.
He has his key points, and that's what he focused on.
Right.
You need to understand what are your key points, work on what you can, like accept what you cannot, and try to be the best possible version of you as a person, rather than, you know,
Right.
trying to like
Exactly.
fake a version of yourself that you don't even like. I mean,
Right. And
that's
that goes back to the old saying, comparison is the thief of all joy. So if you're looking at another individual, there's nothing wrong for using, I will say this, there's nothing wrong for using another person as motivation, is using another individual as something to, like, I like what they do here with this and aspire to do something like that. Okay. Like, okay, that, to me, I have zero issue with that. Like if I'm for instance, say I'm trying to get in better shape, right? I may use somebody that's a professional, personal trainer or some fitness expert or whatever, and I like, they have a similar physique to me, or build anyway,
Mhm,
but they've just really got it on lock and mastered it, and got to peak physical condition as to where
mhm,
I haven't. Okay, cool. I can use them as a reference point to say, that's something I would like to aspire. What is he doing? Like, I'm not looking at what he is. I'm looking at what is he doing, right? That's
exactly.
at that point, I'm being process oriented as opposed to result oriented. Because if all I do is look at the result, what that guy does, and without the context of how he got there, that's only going to serve to make me bitter. That's only going to serve for me to make me jealous. I wish I could do
Exactly.
that. Wish I could be like that. Well, maybe you do, maybe
Exactly.
you don't. You haven't seen this guy's workout routine. Maybe it's not even something that's
Exactly.
possible for you, right?
Exactly. And also, like, that's what I think most of the people, mistake for. For example, like you said, like comparing yourself to Brad Pitt or something. Now, in reality, if you see him face to face, he looks very different from how he looks in his, say, Instagram photos, or, because
Right.
you haven't really met him.
Right.
You are
That's absolutely true.
basing off your assumption of, the perfect person based on a possibly edited photo, which was shared on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever social site or, internet you found it on.
Right.
That makes a huge difference, because you kind of in your brain make, like, unless you are perfect, you're not good enough type of mentality. And that kind of, comes and haunts you in the sense that you'll never feel that you're enough. No matter how actually good looking or whatever you are,
Yeah.
you'll always feel that you're not enough simply because of that mindset rather than,
Right.
actually accepting what you are.
Right. So that brings me to the second part of that. All of that was just the logical, okay? Like understanding that, the way that you're choosing to perceive a certain lacking that you feel in your life, right? And why you don't, quote unquote, stack up, right? And so I got to get in the gym. I got to whatever, make more money. I got to whatever it is that you feel like that you need to have in order to make your relationships successful. The second part of this is the reframing of it. See, when we're talking about perception, what are we talking about? We're talking about what we see and how we define what it is that we see. I'll give you an example. So this is years ago, man. It was shortly after Christmas. All right. And people were getting rid of their Christmas trees in my neighborhood. So, like it's January. People are like, all right, Christmas season's over. Let's get this tree out of here. Some people have fake trees. I have a fake tree. Some people, they go and buy a tree from these places will
Tree
set up
seller.
like in parking lots and stuff.
Yeah.
Come buy a tree, right? Well, it's a tree, it's a real tree, and it's not a live tree because hence, it's not like people are putting the roots in
burying
the
one
ground
in
or
there.
something. Right. It's
Yeah.
cut off at the bottom. So these, the needles are starting to fall over time and, and starting to wilt out and whatever. So people get rid of their tree. One night, I'm hanging out with a friend of mine. We go back to my house and it's dark outside, and the only lights were a couple of street lights here and there, maybe a couple of lights coming from houses. And it's kind of cold. We're kind of hurrying up to the door, and I'm fumbling around with the keys, trying to get the key. And by the way, this homie of mine, dude's humongous. Like, he used to play semi-pro hockey. That guy's about 6'4", and he's a big fat guy now, but at the time,
Yeah.
at the time he was big, man. Really good shape. And I'm fumbling around with my keys, and he looks over across the street, and he grabs a hold of me. He was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" He's like, pointing across the street. There was some wind that came through, and this tree's in a big bag, and the bag's blowing around, right? And he was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And I look over, and I'm like, "Man, it's a Christmas tree in a bag." And he's like, "Man, I thought that thing was a giant turkey." Like, what?
Turkey.
A giant turkey. And so what I'm getting at here is perception, right? He saw that bag with, it's cemented to the ground, basically. I mean, it's a big, heavy tree. It's not going anywhere. But it's in this huge black bag. The wind is coming through, whipping through the street. Goes the bag. To him, it looked like something was coming at us, right? When it wasn't. It was just an optical illusion, basically. But that was his perception. So his mind defined that, some reference point that said, that's a giant turkey, and it's coming to kill me. you know? So, but that wasn't the reality. The reality was it was a Christmas tree, okay? So the way that you choose, and I say choose because we can choose the way to perceive things, right? So the way that you choose to perceive what you identify as a shortcoming about you, if you choose to perceive it as a shortcoming, okay, fine. There's nothing wrong with being self-analytical, doing an audit of your life and seeing where you need to level up. That's okay. All right. But if it's something where this is the reason that I'm too short. I'm too short to what? I'm too short to be attractive to women. And if you're not attractive, then that's going to hurt you in the workplace as well. And if that's going to hurt me in the workplace as well, that's going to also affect my money. And if it affects my money, it affects my mental health because I'm stressed out all the time.
Yeah. And it basically, peters out to every other area of your life.
Right.
It's just like,
Okay. And cool. All right, fine. You if you're a guy that's on the shorter side, okay, you're not going to grow. I mean, let's call it what it is, right? Like,
yeah. At this point, nah.
right, yeah. If you're 10, okay, maybe there's some some hope,
Hope.
but if you're an adult, which I would presume that you are, if you're watching or listening to this, the thing is, you're not going to grow, so you have to accept the fact, right, that you are not the height that you would like to be. But why is it that you're accepting the fact that you're not the height that you want to be? Why do you want to be that height? Okay. Is it because, oh, well, then I will be more attractive to women? Okay. Then what you need to ask yourself is, what are things that are attractive to women? Is height the only thing? Because I promise you, there's guys that are 6'10" that are not attractive.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Exactly. I think it's like they just, they have like kind of tunnel vision issue where they think that one thing is gonna, make or break your career or dating life, whatever you want to call it. Now, the reality of the matter is it's never one thing. It's the entire package that counts. Like
Right.
like you said. Because like you can be like, let's say you're the best looking guy on the planet. Okay. But you have serious like emotional and like
Right.
self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work out. It's just never gonna,
Well,
because you're
dude,
gonna keep shooting yourself in the foot. So
yeah, check this out. Jamie, for Modern Flirting, Jamie Date, you
mm,
can follow her on TikTok. She's got a pop in TikTok right now. But here's the thing. We were having a conversation recently, and it was the way that I'm all about analogies, right? Like I said,
yeah.
I put out analogies for like everything I say, basically. Um, and she put out a really good analogy, and I was like, dude, that's dope. Like I'm stealing that, which is I guess what I'm doing right now.
Yep.
But she was like, you could have the best looking guy in the world, all right, like a guy that Jamie's a girl, and if you don't know,
Mm.
um she's like, who in my mind, like, is my type, like just the most physically attractive guy I have ever seen in my life. If that guy walked into the room with a bloody knife and was staggering around and looking at me crazy, guess how much I care about him being the best looking guy in the world? Like, I don't
Exactly.
care at all. Like, my concern is now, how do I get out of this situation? Right?
Exactly.
So, obviously that's a very extreme example, but what it does show is this: that's not the only thing that matters, right?
Exactly.
You can have the best looking guy in the world, but if that best looking guy in the world, has on a t-shirt that's 5 sizes too big and has a bunch of stains all over it, his jeans are super tattered, he's got on these like dirty ass shoes, his breath stinks, like he hasn't brushed his teeth in a month, you know what I mean? Like, nobody cares about that best looking guy in the world. They don't care.
Exactly.
Because like you said, that's only one piece of the puzzle. So how do we reframe these things? Well, the way that we reframe them, or choose to take a different perception, is, okay, so if again, we'll use the short example, right? If I'm a guy that's short, right, nothing I can do about that. Okay. If I'm the best looking guy in the world, I can choose to brush my teeth and dress better. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that you can change, but yeah.
right. But you can't change, some things. You can't change your height. There's things about me that I can't change. All right. As a matter of fact, I'll use myself as an example here about reframing. All right. So if you can see in the camera, it's not, you can only really notice in some pictures, maybe without my glasses, but my nose
Yeah.
is a little bit crooked. Okay. Little
Yeah.
bit. All right. It's a little bit lumpy. Okay.
That's a
um,
weird way to put it, but let's go.
well, it is, it's not like,
Yeah.
um, what's, not aesthetically, but, symmetric. Okay. That's the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for. So it's a little lumpy. It's a little crooked. All right. You can't really see, but I got some teeth that are, I got some teeth missing,
Mm.
and I've got some teeth that are broke. All right. Now,
Mm.
most people aren't going to get on camera and point these things out.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the deal. I've had different women who have said something to me to the effect of, like, what happened to your nose? Like, it's obvious my nose got broke at some point. That's why it's like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Or it might say, like, oh, you should really go to the dentist. You know, your tooth is like cracked in half, you know? And so, you know, they'll bring that up. Now, I could choose, and this is what most guys will do, fall into that frame that she just laid out, right? What they're going to do
Yeah.
is they're going to be like, oh, or like, wow, what a bitch, you know? And like, that's the wrong way of going about it. Now she poked an insecurity that you have, whether she meant to or not. She poked that insecurity, and you're either going to be upset, let her have it, you know, eject yourself from the interaction completely and be embarrassed, right? So she took the power away from you to be able to operate inside of this interaction. You're powerless at this point, okay? So instead of doing that, I will just start telling a story about how it happened. You know, what I'll tell her is like this. I'll be like, well, you know how that happened, right? Both my nose and my tooth. And she'll be like, well, no, I don't know how that happened. Well, I'm going to tell you. First, I've been punched in the face a bunch of times. So that's the first thing. But second to that, my tooth, what happened was, I'm at CVS, which is it's a chain of pharmacies. Okay. I go to CVS and I'm walking through the parking lot. Well, as I'm walking in the door, there's this elderly woman, like 5 foot nothing. You know, she looked like she was 100 years old if she was a day. And she's standing there and she's kind of creeping in, all hunched over and everything. And, you know, I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm behind her, like going in the door, like, okay, I guess we're going in slow. And so as we get in, there's a security guard, not a great area of town. Okay. There's a security guard that's right at the front of the entrance. This guy, I seen him coming, but he was pretty quick with it. He starts coming down this aisle. He was running, like almost full speed running. He's running towards the door, grabs her purse, and jets out the door. All right. I turn around, and I'm just reactionary that way to stuff like this. The security guard wasn't going to do shit. That's all what it is. Dude's getting paid minimum wage. That guy's halfway across the parking lot. He ain't doing nothing. So I take off after this guy, right? And I'm gaining ground on him. He ducks around a van, like, you know, like those big conversion vans, you know, like a really big van. And he ducks around it. My assumption is that he kept running. He didn't. He was waiting for me around the corner of that van. So I make the turn, bow, right in the mouth, you know. So that's where that came from. Well, he may have broke my tooth, but I made him swallow his because I pushed him up against that van. I just started plowing into him, you know what I mean? Right into his mouth. And it was a mess. I still have scars on my fist from punching that dude in the mouth. All right. My knuckles were all cut up and whatnot. But end of the day, I got the old lady's purse back. And that whole thing was so worth it to see the look on her face when I come walking back in there with her purse. You know, like, she gave me like the biggest hug, and just like, she was just like, my life is in that purse, you know, like, I don't know what I would have done. She was already crying because she got jacked, you know what I mean? And now those tears were like tears of joy, basically, because she got everything back that she thought that she lost, you know. And later we were talking a little bit. She was like, wanted to buy me a coffee. And so, you know, whatever. We're sitting there drinking coffee there for a minute, and she tells me that, like, in her purse, in her wallet, in her purse, is the only really good picture that she has of her son that had died, you know, and that would have been gone, you know. And I was like, yeah, maybe you don't want to carry that thing around with you, you know, maybe put that in a frame. But nonetheless, that's how I got my tooth broke. How do you think that that's reframed to that girl that said something about my tooth?
Exactly. That shows that you're a positive, helpful guy, and that you're trustworthy, and you have, you offer security to any person who is with you. So
Right. But here's the real reframe. And you're right. That shows all those characteristics, right? But the real reframe is what was once not attractive. Like we can all agree at the Hollywood smile, that's a beauty standard, right? What was once not attractive became really attractive. That's
exactly.
the reframe there. I'll give you another quick example. A guy that I was on a boot camp with not that long ago. Good looking dude, extremely wealthy, got a lot of things going on for himself. Australian guy, and those accents go over very well in the United States,
Yep.
And thing is, he's got a really big nose, really big. All right. And this girl, we were out on the street, and this girl says to him, we start this interaction off, and she was like, and it was kind of rude what she said. I understand where he was coming from. She was like, "Why is your nose so big?" Like just out of the blue, right? Like just shit test, like of the ages. You know what I mean? Just like way out of left field. We weren't talking anything about that. He got really salty about that. He just walked away. You know what I mean? And I was telling him, what I was trying to do is patch things up a little bit to keep this interaction going, because they told me where these girls were going, and it was a high value environment. They had already invited us. Okay. So it wasn't that big of a deal that his nose was big. It wasn't like this is a make or break thing. She just said that, probably half drunk and just not thinking and whatever. But it was rude. I will acknowledge that. Yeah. But he shot himself in the foot because he bailed out of that interaction. I tried to patch it up. He was just not interested at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
But that could have led to a lot. We could have used them as a pivot once we got into this very exclusive club. All we need to do was get in the door. That's it.
Yeah.
From there, we could have made anything happen from there. Like, okay, done with you girls. Now we're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could have
Exactly.
leveraged that. But we couldn't because he got upset. Okay. And what I said was, as he was walking off, I was like, wow, that was out of the blue. Well, let me tell you, if you didn't notice, the dude's from Australia. A little background about him is he's from the outback. This guy used to box kangaroos, okay? And he was just in a match like 2 weeks ago. Kangaroo was boxing him, blasting him right in the nose, and he just swelled up a little bit. That's it. And they thought that was hilarious, okay? And but he was already like halfway down the block, you know what I mean? But I saved it, but he killed it still, So again, that's a reframe, right? Taking something, exaggerating it to be funny. Or
exactly.
In my case, it's not funny about my tooth getting broke, but it's an attractive story.
It's a value. Yeah, right. It becomes value. Like you convert it to value. Like I also think like, like people, like it's not necessarily a bad thing if people judge you. Because see, the thing is,
whether you think it's good or bad, otherwise.
Yeah, no, but like the way you take it need not be always bad. Also, sometimes it's good that people judge you because you get to know the type of people they are. Now, someone who is like, let's just call it what it is, full outward, like who just bases everything on outward appearances. You don't want to be with someone like that. Right. Like, let's be honest.
True.
Like that's you, like, let's say, like, for example, for me, that is one of the things. If you've noticed, I have vitiligo, which basically makes my skin color different. Like I have semi like white, skin. So now what happens is if people actually judge me based on that, or if they think, I'm somehow not good enough to be with them or whatever, for this reason, I don't think of that as a bad thing.
Right.
Like someone who is actually gonna, judge your value based on how different you are or how normal you are not.
Yeah.
That you don't want that sort of a person in your life anyways.
Right.
Like let's assume, okay, you decide to be with someone like that and you end up having a bad accident, say suppose. Now you're really in like a lot of trouble. Say you have a bad accident and you can't walk anymore.
Right.
Someone like that who judges solely on outward appearances is gonna dip out. They're gonna be like, sorry bro, like, your life shit. I got to, that's like, yeah, that's what is gonna happen. Because for them, outward appearances and what people think, what society thinks is more important than you as a person.
Yep.
So that kind of puts you like, you don't want to be in such a situation anyways. That
Yep.
itself is a wrong thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I gave you a dope reframe for that too, didn't I?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Now people want to know what it is. So what I told him was, what was it? It was like, if someone brings that up, like, well, I tried being white for a while. I realized being Indian was better.
Yeah. So I'm still halfway in the process of
Right.
converting, but I'll be there. I'll be there.
I like that. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
biased.
It's
I
like,
thought of it, but
yeah. No, that's
um,
actually a really good thing, because I remember that. Like, that's actually one of the best ways to, reframe it. Now, for
yeah,
example, for me, like, it is what it is. I can't really change, like, the way my body
right.
is.
Yeah,
So I have to accept it as it is. But that actually makes me proud, because I'm different from other people. I'm
yeah,
not like, just like everyone else. That makes me unique. Second
right.
of all, like I said, everyone who, judges you based on your color, you don't want to be with such a person. It's
Yeah,
just
dude.
not the type of people you want to be with.
If you saw a like I don't even know what they're called, but if you saw like a group of horses, a
Hmm.
pack, a like
I
I
don't
don't
even know
know what
what
the
it's called
plural,
anymore, but yeah.
but a gang of horses, horse eye,
Whatever that is.
like
Okay.
whatever it is, um, running right,
Hmm.
and in the middle of that, like if you're watching a nature show,
Hmm.
there's just this random ass zebra, like running with all these horses. Where would your eyes go? Where would the attention go? It would go right to that
And
zebra.
then
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So is a zebra different or weird to the horses? Yeah, but that's also the thing that makes it unique. That's also the thing that is engaging and what people are going to notice first. You know,
Exactly.
so yeah, dude. And and this is the thing, like on the boot camps that I do, the one-on-twos, these are the exact types of things that we go super, super deep on. For guys that don't know, I do boot camps. It'll be me and two other guys. It's not a thing of me and 8 guys running around the club. What it is what we're gonna do is sit down. We're going to go really deep on all the inner game concepts that I spoke about earlier and working through that throughout the course of a weekend. Going through a bunch of external exercises, internal exercises, bringing up a lot of things to start nipping. I don't want to say nipping in the bud because it's out of the bud at this point.
Yeah.
It's something that's got a stranglehold on you. How to release yourself from that? How to be that authentic self? We're still going to go out, but now it becomes a thing of quality over quantity. It's not a thing of like, all right, over the course of the weekend, you're going to approach 1,000 women. No, what it is we're going to go over your mindset. Where's your breathing at? How do you feel? Okay, go start this interaction. Once that interaction is over with, okay, what's your mindset? How do you feel? What's that inner voice telling you right now? And eradicating that in the moment as opposed to here, man, read this book. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and
Like,
books are great, man. I'm working on one myself, but it's that's only so helpful. This type of help is something that can really only be done in a one-on-one thing. When we're talking about in the moment, you're going to bring a book with you, like as you're going to go to the mall or a club or on the street. Like, okay, all right. So anyway, like I was saying, oh, you know what? I feel anxious. Hold on, hold on. I just saw a chapter about that. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like
that's gonna
that's
be
what it
weird.
is. Like, that is weird, obviously, but like people need to, like, actions always are better than words. Like, it just are. Now, because you can, talk about being confident, read about being confident, you can do that.
Yeah.
But actually going out, talking to people, and actually doing the work, outward,
Right.
like, it's like it's a part of it. The more action you take, the more positive, and the more you realize that it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Now, especially for approaches, like you said, people think cold approach or just approaching people or getting to talk to people is such a big thing. Isn't, what they would judge me, they would think you're like, the reality is they won't.
Nope.
Like,
Well, they will.
Major like
You will get judged. I mean, make no mistake, that will happen. But it's your reaction to that judgment is what's going to make the difference. You know what I mean? So the way that you handle that judgment, because everybody makes snap judgments. Everybody. It just
everybody, yeah.
inevitable.
It's just human nature. It's human nature. Exactly.
Right. So, but here's the beauty of this, though, is that not only are we working on all those inner game concepts and then watching it translate to outer game, but what we're also doing is we're finding, since it's just me and two other people, so say it's me, you, Shabam, and one other guy, right? We can figure out what weekend works best for everybody. It's not a mandated like May 23rd through the 25th, right?
Well,
it's something that works for everybody. And I will come to you to do it if need be. All right. If it's convenient for everybody for me to come to where you're at, fine. If it's more convenient for you to come to me, fine. If we got to meet somewhere in the middle, fine. But we'll work out what is the most accessible for myself and the two I'm working with. You know what I mean? So it's not a mandate of place and time. It's a mandate of, do you want to get this figured out or don't you? That's really what it boils down to.
It at the end of the boils down to, like, are you willing to take the action required to change your life? Because everyone wants to be successful. Like, let's be honest. Who doesn't know that eating healthy and, working out is good for you?
Right.
Everyone knows it. That's common sense. Like, even a kid knows it. But how many people actually eat healthy, like sleep properly, go to the gym? How many?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's how bad do you want it, Switching gears a little bit. So this last weekend, all right, speaking of like going around and approaching and things like that, right? So for you guys that don't know, I have a YouTube channel, and we put up content regularly on that channel, and I was out getting content, okay? And so now this particular type of content that I was getting is kind of like man on the street type of interviews. So I'm going up to women and I'm asking them a few questions, getting their, quote unquote, a woman's perspective, that type of thing. And I'm kind of riffing with whatever it is they're saying to make it a little more entertaining, make it a little more funny, stuff like that. And this is the thing about the, like, if you're dead set on results, and results are important, don't get me wrong, they are, okay? This was not the weekend for results. Because we go out, and now we go to this kind of this area of Detroit that is like kind of more of the clubby or party-ish type of area of town. And so we're walking around. Now, the weather just turned into fall. Like, one day it was 90, the next day it was 50. Like it was like a super drastic change. It's like, well, I guess it's fall now, and so I wasn't dressed appropriately for it. I'm out there freezing. Me and my photographer were walking around. We were making laps around this area, and we probably walked 3 or 4 miles, collectively. And we got goose egg. There was nobody to talk to. Now, this is an area that has heavy foot traffic when the weather's good. Okay. This is getting to be the time of year where people like want to watch Halloween movies and sit up and drink spiked apple cider, like rum and apple cider, which I had, well, that weekend. It was pretty good. But nonetheless, so nobody out. So I'm like, all right, well, I gotta get some content in. So I go back out Saturday. Now I could have said, fuck this, not doing it. Like, yesterday was just a shit show, like, not doing it, But no, I still need the content, so I'm still attached to the process here. So we go out, and we're walking around. Now, there was a few more people, okay, a few, not many more, but a few. And I see these 2 girls, right? And this is, inner game wise, right? What most people would do is you know, well, firstly, most people wouldn't be doing footage like this, I guess, or this type of content, but
Mhm,
you know, not me. So
mhm,
I see these two girls. Now, here's the deal. This is almost goes back to what we were talking about with reframe.
Yep.
Okay. So now I know what my agenda here is, right? Like my agenda is to have a chat with them, get them on camera, you know, keep it loose, keep it fun, wrap
Yeah.
it up.
Get quality content. Yep.
And then if I like their vibe and things like that, get their numbers, follow up with them, and you know, make things happen from
Mm,
there if I want to. Okay. So these particular girls, they come out of a restaurant. They got carry out. They
mm,
didn't look particularly upbeat or anything like that. It was just like do 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 do.
mm.
You guys listening to this, by the way, you can't see my facial expression, but if you're watching it on YouTube, you
Mhm,
can. So that's something that you should probably do. But anyway, you know, they're walking out and they're just, you know, whatever. They just look normal. You know, they don't look like,
mm.
oh my God, I can't wait to have some fun. I hope some random dude walks up and wants to interview us on camera. You know, like they just
That
looked,
would be weird, but
it would be. And I'd be like, this is a sign from the universe. But you know, they looked normal. Now, what most guys would do, right? Because I've heard this a million times. You know, girls just they just don't look approachable. They don't look like they want anyone coming up and talking to them. And it's like, well, that is probably true. They don't want just anybody walking up and talking to them, right? But if you're carrying yourself with high value, you have high self esteem, you think well of yourself. And I don't mean in a conceited way, I just mean in a realistic way. I bring a lot of dope qualities to the table, right? Like
yep.
it, it's going to be worth it for them for me to talk to them. Okay.
Exactly.
It is the way I'm thinking about this. Now, knowing that, you know, they probably don't have a lot of time. They just got food. They probably don't want their food to get cold either. And like I just said, it was starting to get kind of chilly
Mm,
out. You know what I mean? So I don't have all day to be, you know, talking
mm,
and whatnot.
mm,
Still, nonetheless, there they were. And I knew there was not an abundance of women out walking around. So it's like, got to make this happen, you know? As a matter of fact, my camera guy didn't even see him. We were walking right past him. And
mm,
I just turned and was like,
mm,
hey, real quick, you know, like,
mm.
and so that's what happened. Now, what most guys would say is their facial expressions were showing they don't want to be bothered, right? So this is the reframe. I'm not bothering. I'm actually adding value to their day, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to flip that, uh, uh, you know, baseline vibe that they have going on,
Mm,
right? They're not, I mean, they didn't look sulking and like, the
mm.
world is
Yeah, like
terrible.
they're just normal.
They're
Like,
just
their
normal.
baseline normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to take that baseline and I'm going to increase the frequency, right? So
Yep.
that if this is baseline going across from left to
Mm,
right, what do I want it to do? I want an upward trajectory, right?
yep.
So I don't want left and right. I want left to up. Okay.
Yep.
So that's what I did. And you know what? They had an awesome time. Like, I mean, we only spent like, it was less than probably 8 minutes, you know, by the time it was all
Mhm,
said and done, for me talking to them, getting the camera set up, doing the quick little, you know, back and forth
mm,
exchange. We had, there was two girls and, you know, having this back and forth exchange with them. And then, you know, peacing out and off they go, right?
mm.
Less than 8 minutes. But I promise you, I promise you, those girls told everybody that they ran into of their friends or family or whatever. Man, this guy came up and started talking to us on the street, and he has a YouTube channel, and he asked us to be in his video, and he was really funny and engaging and charming and charismatic. And I don't know if they said all that, but I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's hope
And
for the best.
right. And it just it made they okay. This is what I'm getting at right here. Okay.
Mm,
They walked out of that restaurant baseline. When they left, after we wrapped up, I watched them walk to their vehicle, which was just a couple of, 20 feet away. All right. From the time that they left us and separated and started walking to their car and getting in their car, they were all smiles and laughs, and their body language had completely changed. So
Exactly.
what does that tell me? What that
You just
tells me
made their day
is
better.
exactly. That tells me that I'm adding value to their day based on the value that I'm bringing. I know that I can be fun. I know that I can be charismatic. I know that I can be charming. And this is a unique situation. And not everybody, this isn't, I don't know, LA or something where, everybody and their brother jumps out of the, TMZ jumps out of the bushes with a camera or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is not an everyday occurrence here for people.
Yeah.
So it's a unique situation as well. That added so much value to their day. They started asking me questions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So why? Because they were interested. They wanted to know, because this is fun. This is different, right? It's a unique situation, like I said. So them driving away, I promise you, they were texting their friends and like, oh my God, this guy, So yeah, man, like that was the only one we got that whole weekend.
No, but like that's exactly, see, like you pointed out, right? I feel that is kind of the biggest problem why people, whenever they try to approach or whenever they try to talk to people, they're like, scared or like afraid because they think they don't add any value to the opposite person's life. Instead, they feel as if they take value.
Right.
That frame itself is wrong because you are basically putting them on a pedestal. And if they're a stranger, you don't even know them. And suddenly you're putting yourself down as if you need something from them rather than you giving them something.
Right.
That minor frame shift makes a huge difference. Because now, see, when you're taking something, you kind of are, in a, like, your mindset is shifted like that. You will be a bit more, what you would say, submissive and so on and so forth. But when you're giving something up, you don't really care what the other person thinks. You're giving away stuff. You're like, they can think whatever they want. You're just giving it away. If they want it, take it. If they don't want it, not, doesn't matter. That sort of thing.
I agree 100%. 100%. And here's the thing. If I'm not able to verbalize, if I'm not able to communicate that value that I'm bringing, right? Those girls would have said no. Like, no, not interested. What I told them was, I was like, hey guys, real quick, listen, I got a YouTube channel that's predicated on helping guys improve their dating life and understanding women better, right? And saw you guys coming out here. Just wanted to see if I could do just like a really quick interview with you. I promise you that I'm not going to make you look foolish. I'm not going to make you look silly. I'm not going to make fun of you or anything like that. Like, this is all in good spirit. This is all positive, and they were super down for that. You know what I mean? And now if I would have came up and been like, hey guys, so I got this YouTube channel. I need some girls. You guys have vaginas. So, I'm just going to turn on this camera. Let's go. That
yeah. Like the vibe you're giving is like, what you call it, backroom casting or something.
Yeah, right. Well, not only that, but it's I need you to be a part of this. I need your value.
Exactly.
For me.
That frame.
So now there's something. Now you can have all the value in the world, right? But if you can't communicate that value, then it's like the tree in the forest that falls. Does anybody hear it? You know what I mean? Like, did it make a sound? Right? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to put together something for guys that will help with this. So what I put together was Dale Valor's School of Verbal Wizardry. Right. So what I'm doing is November 12th and 13th. It's a 2-day thing. It's a virtual boot camp. It's going to be on Zoom. Sessions are probably going to be about 4 hours long. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a deep dive on things that I have been perfecting for over 15 years. I'm kind of giving away the shop here, about 25 different techniques and different ways to communicate, to build 3 things at a very, very rapid pace. And what those 3 things are is connection, comfort, and trust. Okay. Basically, the same amount of comfort, connection, and trust that would be built like over 3 or 4 dates. We're talking about getting all that in under an hour. Sometimes even a lot less than that, but I'm going to say under an hour. Being able to have all that. Like, if you ever walked away from somebody and you're like, man, I feel like I've known that person all my life and I just met them. That's what she's going to be thinking about with you by using the things that we're going to be talking about that I'm going to do a deep dive on. Okay. So if that's something that interests you, understand this: the frame that you are putting out there is that you are likely the most interesting, unique, powerful man that she has ever met in her entire life. That's a pretty powerful frame to come from. Okay. That's not a frame that's easily beaten.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's going to fall into that frame. You're setting yourself up is that you know more about her than she knows about herself. And unless she's a fool, how can she not trust you? How can she not trust your decision making, your assertiveness, your leadership? How can she not trust those things if you know more about her than she does? Right? So
Exactly.
that's what we're going to really go deep on over the course of that weekend, the 12th and 13th of November. So if that makes sense to you and you have questions, reach out to me. We'll make it happen. So I'd love for you to be there. I'd love for you to be a part of this because I think it would be truly transformational. Just like with those girls from last weekend, I ramped up that comfort and that trust extremely quickly so as that they felt loose on camera. Like they felt comfortable. I don't loose. Wasn't we weren't shooting porn here, but
Yeah.
like they felt comfortable being with me on camera. They
Yep.
felt comfortable with me asking them questions and playfully teasing them and joking with them, and them leaving that interaction feeling all that much the better for it. You know what I mean? So, but here's the thing, bro. We put in this work, we learn these things, we go to Dale Valor's School of Verbal Wizardry, we go to the 1-on-2 boot camps, right? Well, maybe not all 4, but in at least in part to get what? Better dates.
Yep.
To be able to have that mindset, that abundant mindset to attract the type of women that you would want to go on dates with, right? And dates are a thing. You have to be able to spend time with them. You have to be able to get to know them, screen for the things that you want out of, this potential relationship should it start going that way. So these are all things that you have to consider, right? I found a news article today that I want to share real quick. And I want to get your takes
Sure
on
thing.
it. All right. So hang on. All right, guys, give me 2 seconds to pull this up. So much like last week, this was like a kind of a question that got mailed or sent in email, likely, I guess, to this is really interesting, by the way, because not only is the question interesting, but where this question is located at. Okay. This isn't some ask Abby, or something, you know what I mean? Like in the newspaper. This is from a website called Market Watch. This is a financial website. Okay.
Okay.
And so what this shows is the relation between health, wealth, and relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll get it when I start reading this. Okay. So, all right. So this is what this is a guy writing to this expert of some sort. Okay. His answers are relevant here. All right. Only our answers are relevant. All right. So this is what the guy says. I am a single 38-year-old man living in the Southwest, and I have reached my breaking point. I spent my hard-earned money taking women out for dinner and drinks who I've met on Tinder, only to be ghosted by the second or third date. That's pretty frustrating. All right. That's my commentary. Is taking a woman out for coffee on a first date acceptable? And can I just pay for my own? You don't get much change out of $10 at Starbucks these days. And I'm tired of just throwing my cash around on other people's social lives. At this point in the game, and it does feel like a game, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of by the women who agree to meet me on a date. If they're not serious, then why do they agree to be taken out for dinner? A bottle of wine alone can cost upwards of $45. I'm a gentleman. I hold the door for women. I stand up when a lady enters the room and I pick up the check. But I'm spending upwards to $600 a month on dates, and it's eating into my other living expenses. When did men have to pay for everything? When did dating have to be so expensive? Is coffee acceptable? Can I buy my own? Signed 30-something, single and aggravated. All right. There's a lot
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
there's a
lot to
break down.
digest. Yeah.
All right. What do you think?
I would say, like you said, the beginning thing is his frame seems to be completely wrong.
Yep.
Now, there are other minor factors into it also, but again, like I said, like being a gentleman is actually a good thing, but there is always a catch. Okay, and I'll tell, like at least according to me, like let's say, let's suppose, okay, you just meet a girl and you're very nice to her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, men think that it's a good attractive quality. Reality is, a girl gets creeped out. Reason is, you just met her.
Right.
Why are you being so nice?
It's
What's the,
contrary to
like?
human behavior
Yeah,
and nature.
it's exactly. It feels creepy. As in, it feels you have some sort of an agenda, and that is why you're being extremely nice. Now, I'm not saying, when she's coming, open the door. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking
Right.
about.
No, I get what
But
you
like,
mean.
yeah, like, but extreme nicety, like being super kind, super like, it feels as if you're giving away too much value when you haven't received anything in return. Now, this is a very common occurrence where, guys excessively comment on a girl's pictures. Like, you'll always have these memes, like tons of guys commenting on, like, a girl's picture, like, nice
Right.
pic, this, all that. Now, let's be honest. How many of them got replies? Exactly. Now, that's the thing. If you are getting a reply, that means there was value exchange. You gave her some value, she valued your value, and she gave you something back. So, like, say, for example, if Dale, for example, you commented on a girl's photo, okay, and then she replies, thanks for the compliment. Looking forward to meeting you again. That's value.
Mm-hmm.
On the other end, say someone else commented on it and no reply. It's like crickets.
Right.
In that scenario, you didn't get any value. The reality is, all like, value has to be exchanged in order for the conversation. I mean, in order for the relationship to be, whatever the relationship may be, but for that to be actually valuable, especially men to women. Now, for example, his case of, where is spending so much money on dates. Okay. First thing I would say, now I do understand this thing, but at the end of the day, if you are in really not in a position to, take expensive dates, don't take them. Like, you shouldn't be taking, like, it just makes no sense. If you are not in a financial position to take, people to
Right.
expensive dates, you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. It doesn't matter. Secondly, if like assuming the guy is like, say, 37, 38. Now, I don't want to be judgmental, but at this point of time, I don't think you should be in a situation where you are like, scarce for your monthly, like expenses.
Right.
That itself is a very big red flag. Like if you're struggling for your monthly expenses at age 38, 37, like that means your priority should be, setting your life together first and then going on, expensive dates, not the other way around. That kind of,
Right.
yeah, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot, like, because you're also like, setting the precedent that you will take her out for expensive dinners. Secondly, you will always pay for everything. And now you basically like, okay, fine, you just met her on an outer date, Tinder or something. Okay, fine. Whenever your time to, get serious about it, you have to take it on a larger scale. Now you're looking at an even more expensive dinner and more like, you're just shooting yourself in the foot there.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, I agree. I want to add a little bit to that. So here's the
yeah.
thing. This guy's a sucker. Straight up and down. I'm gonna call it what it is. Yeah, of
I
course
was sugarcoating it, but yeah.
of course he's getting taken advantage of, right? I don't have to see his Tinder to know. Okay,
Yeah.
here's what's happening. He matches with somebody, and then he starts rolling out the red carpet, right? They might have a
Yeah.
nice little banter going back and forth. And hey, would you like to accompany me to the most expensive place in all of the Southwest America? You know what I mean?
Mm,
Just like, well, I'm getting along with this guy all right, and he's rolling out the red carpet. So yeah. So then
why not?
what happens? They go out on this date. There's probably not much of a connection there. All right.
Hmm.
And so minimally, she got a really expensive, nice meal paid for, night out on the town, blah, blah, blah. But there's nothing really there. Okay.
Yeah.
Then on to the next one. Right. So yeah, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you're like, hey, I'll bend over backwards and do the most crazy expensive dates ever with you. Like you're not. He's thinking that he's coming from a frame of like I'm going to impress this girl, right?
Yeah.
And she will like me because I'm impressing her with like this super awesome date night. All right. When in reality, she's like you said, this is a little bit much, but
Yeah.
what?
Okay. I mean, nobody's saying no to free stuff, especially if someone is being nice to
all
you.
right,
That's human nature. You're not going to say no to it. But in the back of your mind, you're going to be like, what's this guy hiding?
right.
What's the catch?
So
exactly. So
here's the thing. How do you do this without spending a bunch of money? All right. Well, firstly, I would suggest not to, I'm not saying don't treat, like a girl that you're dating or something like that out to an expensive meal here or there. I'm not suggesting that, you just, never spend money and you just be cheap and this or that.
yeah.
That's not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting is do that for people that's worth it. Not people you just met or never met in this case.
Yeah, like you just
I mean?
went like nothing has happened, so you can't really go
right.
that serious on like an expensive date. It just doesn't make any sense.
So
because
dude brings up a point though, right? He's trying to go the other way with it now. He's like, well, why can't I just go to Starbucks? Why can't I just take him on a coffee date? Well, you can try to do that, but here's the problem. Nobody wants to go on a coffee date, dude.
Yeah, let's be honest. Like,
no, I've done a coffee date once, right? And it was cool. It was all right. But nobody's excited. No one's like, man, I can't wait to go drink some coffee. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're just like, you need some caffeine in your system or something really bad. But outside of that, no one's like, man, I can't wait to just go have coffee. See, what you should be doing is you should be setting this up as an adventure, something exciting, something outside of the box, right? The other guys aren't doing, because every guy is doing exactly what this guy's doing. One of two ways.
Exactly.
Either Netflix and chill, or I'm going to take you out for this lavish experience, So here's some ideas as to what you can do instead of that. All right. One of the things, my favorite one is going to go pet horses. Dude, a sack of apples is like $3. You know what I mean? Like, and it's something that every time it lands every single time. And why does it land? Because every girl loves horses. And also it's outside of the box. It's no guy has ever suggested that. Okay. And that's not to say that you can't go get drinks later or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can, but also with that, let's take a step back here. Say you just don't like her. Like, man, this girl sucks, man. I don't like her personality. Like, I don't want to continue this date, Okay, after you feed horses, hey, I'm not really feeling this. I don't want to waste your time. It was nice to meet you, though. Good luck. Boom, done. You know what I mean? You're not like, man, you're sitting across from this girl you just spent, $150 on this meal, and you're just like, man, I hate this girl. And I just spent $150. You know what I mean? Like all
On
I
a
did was invest $3 in a sack of apples in
yeah.
45 minutes of my time, you know? So, um, but if you want to extend it, you could. Hey, there's other places you could go get a couple of drinks. You don't have to, and even a couple of drinks. I mean, by the time it's all said and done, you know, you're talking about $30 as opposed to
Yeah.
homeboy spending $600, you know, all the time or whatever.
On the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, there's that. There's another favorite of mine is hookah. You know, not every girl smokes hookah. All right. So like you
Nah.
get to find out what she's
Mm,
into. And by the way, actually, now that I said that, another
mm,
thought popped in my head. When you're talking to the girl, find out what her interests are and already have things lined up in a litany of different types of interests that you can
mm,
apply, right? So if she tells me that she likes hookah, you know, like we're talking and I'm like, man,
mm,
I could really go for some hookah. You ever smoke hookah before?
mm,
Oh my God, I love hookah. I know this super dope place, right? That you probably have never heard about. Like this place is awesome. You know, I can really build it up. Now she's excited to not only hang out with me, but go there. And hookah, it's like $10. Okay.
yeah.
Another thing, if she's kind of like the more like bubbly, like likes to do wacky
Mm,
stuff type of girl, you know, hopefully you guys understand what I mean by that.
mhm.
You get what I mean, right, Shabam? Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like to do like fun, almost like childish type of
Bubbly,
mentality,
bubbly.
right?
Like bubbly girls, you call them.
Right.
So yeah.
What I'll do is I'll go buy in in today's day and world, man, like this goes over so well. All right. Getting instant cameras, not using your phone,
Mhm,
but actually instant cameras where the picture comes right
mhm.
out. Okay.
Right.
You have a picture that you can hold on to. It's almost like a harken back to yesteryear or something,
Yeah.
you know, getting disposable cameras and buying kites and going out to the park, maybe bring like some little bit of liquor or wine if you're into
Mhm,
that, and flying kites and taking silly pictures of each other. Girls that are into like that type, that have that type of
mm.
mentality,
Dig
absolutely
it.
love that. You know,
Yep.
like I'll give you an example. Now, this was years and years ago. This is way before I was even into this industry.
Mm,
It wasn't even around yet. Okay, we're talking like 1997, something like that.
mhm,
Okay, a buddy of mine, he used to get some of the hottest girls to go on dates with him, and and this dude looked like a scarecrow. Okay, like literally,
mhm,
he was like
mhm,
6'4", super lanky, like really goofy and silly. You know what I mean? And
mhm,
but he always reminded me of a scarecrow. And
mhm,
he had at the time he had this car that was a convertible. Okay, and that
mhm,
wasn't like a fancy, super awesome convertible. It just was a convertible. So
mhm,
happened. So he he puts a bunch of bales of hay inside of his car,
mhm,
right? It's like
mhm,
fall, like this time of year.
mhm,
Okay. Puts a bunch of bales of hay inside of his car. He goes through, we go through Taco Bell drive through,
mhm,
and there's a really cute girl, like that was like the cashier. And she
mhm.
was like, hey, I'm curious. How come you have all those bales of hay in your car? And he was like, girl, it's fall time. I wanted to go on a hayride. And she was like, oh my God, that is the cutest, most adorable thing I've ever heard anybody say. And he was like, when you get off work, do you want to go on a hayride with me? And she was like, yes. And so they exchanged numbers. He ends up picking this girl up from Taco Bell later and just driving around. Is essentially is
Yeah.
all he was doing. It just so
Mm,
happened there's bales of hay in his
mhm.
car. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
like that type of girl resonates with that type of thing. You see? So that's dude, disposable cameras are like $5. A kite
Yeah.
is like five
Exactly.
bucks. You,
Yeah. What's the harm? Like, you know?
right. So like man, I could go on and on and on for days about like not spending a bunch of money and going on dates. Okay.
Yep.
So what I'm getting at here though is you are screening in that process to see if this girl is worth down the road
Mm,
potentially taking on a more extravagant type of date. You don't
Yep.
start with that. You end more so with that.
More so with that.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? And that's where this guy's mindset needs to have a shift. Coffee ain't it,
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean? You could do that.
Mm.
I've seen guys do coffee dates. I've been on one myself, but no girl is like excited about that. That
Yeah,
girl
yeah.
that was excited to go on the hayride, she was excited about what they were doing and getting to know him versus like,
Yep.
well, I'm just going to sit across a table with a drink that's hot. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And like, see, girls especially are bored in life. Like, unlike, like, see, let's be honest. A guy can go do the same boring job for 30 years in a row and still, like, be completely sane. Have you ever seen a girl do the same job 30 years in a row? Hell no, they can't. Like, let's be honest. Like we can have the same life in
Yeah.
repeat mode like robots. Like guys can do that. Girls need change. Why do you think many girls move cities? Like they can have a perfectly good job, everything is perfect, but they'll be like, nah, I want to change in my life, and they'll suddenly, change decision, leave their job, go to another city and have a completely different experience. Just so that they can have that change, quote
Right.
unquote, because they like they would guys can get bored and still be sane. Girls would rather die than be bored. Like
Right.
right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So that's the thing, man. Like any of you guys listening to this, understand you don't have to have these big lavish dates. It can be very
yeah.
simple as long as it's an adventure and it's fun.
Yep.
I've broken into abandoned buildings with girls. I broke into an abandoned prison. Who breaks into a prison? You know what I mean? I'll give you another
That is a
example.
cool one.
I'll give you another example. So, because it's this time of year, like kind of like spooky time,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And so there's I'm sure probably 99% of you have heard of 8 Mile. Okay. Like, the Eminem movie 8 Mile. No, that's a real road. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
real place. Okay. I drive on it all the time. So here's the deal. 8 Mile goes a long way. I mean, it's a long road. All right. It starts out on the east side where I live, and it goes way out into the country. Okay, like way past the metro area, still in southeastern Michigan, but it's way out past the city. Okay. So what happens is 8 Mile at a certain point turns into a dirt road. Where 8 Mile ends, it kind of like makes like a little curve, right? So you're kind of turning to the left. Well, out there is this tree. Okay. In this big tree are hundreds of pairs of shoes. Like, the laces are tied together and people are chucking them up into the tree. Okay. It's called the shoe
Okay.
tree. And the legend
Interesting.
is that a lady that owns that farm or whatever that the shoe tree is on, that she had a child that died young. Okay. And so her thing was, if she can't have a kid, nobody gets to have a kid. So anytime that a kid would wander onto her property or whatever, she would kidnap that kid, kill that child, and throw its shoes up into the shoe tree. Now this lady's long dead. But what happened, not the legend is that if you turn off your car and it's the middle of the night, you turn off your car, you flash your brights, that she'll appear in your car and kill you and steal your shoes and throw them in the shoe tree. Okay. Obviously nonsense. Okay. But it is mad spooky out there. It is dark. You know what I mean? Like there's no lights out there. And so I'm telling this girl about it, right? And she's just like, I have never heard of that before. And I was like, let's go. You want to see it? I know exactly where it is, And she's just like, okay, And as we're getting there, 8 Mile turns from pavement to dirt, right? I could tell she's getting a little bit anxious and a little bit scared, even though she didn't believe it. She just couldn't help herself. Now she's getting wrapped up into it and everything. And she was like, you have to promise me that you won't turn the car off though, because I don't want the lady to appear. And I was like, I promise I won't turn it off. Okay. So we get there. What's the first thing I do? I turn it off.
Yeah.
Then I flashed the lights and then I took off out of the car. You know what I mean?
Uh,
She's like, ah, ah. She starts freaking out. And then, of course, I run around to her side of the car and start banging on the window. She's just like,
uh,
ah. And then I get back in and she's just like, fuck you. Ah. You know, she's like going nuts. And then once she calmed down, I was like, I'm just playing around. It's okay. You're safe. Nothing, blah, blah, blah. But she absolutely loved it. You know what I mean? Like literally,
yeah.
not even a quarter tank of gas, for like
Yeah.
that date. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but it was just a fun experience, But to wrap things up, I want to play another game, and you have to answer this time. You snuck out of it last time. Like ain't happening this time. All right. So we're gonna play another game or another round of Would You Rather. Okay. So you ready?
Okay, let's go.
All right. Now this one isn't a sexual one. Okay, like the last one. All right. So this is the question. Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds?
Mm, oh, that's a tricky one. Both are kind of cool. That is tricky. I'm thinking, like, what are the pros and cons? I take teleport one.
The
It just
teleport
makes
one?
life easy. Yep, yep.
Not me. Well, firstly, I can already read minds. So
Yeah. You can learn that, but you can't teleport.
but no, here's my reason. This is
Yeah.
why I would rather be able to read minds. Okay. Because there's certain information that I could get to obviously make a ton of money, right? In which case, teleportation isn't that, yeah, it's dope. Don't get me wrong. That would be cool. But I would rather have like a ton of money and be able to fly anywhere I want at a whim, right?
Mm.
Like, okay, so if I want to get to Detroit to London,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like, okay, it might take me 4 hours to fly there or something like that. But when I land, I still have all that money. If I teleport as I am now, it's just me. I'm just happen to be in a different place. On top of that, if people get whim that, I'm able to teleport, man, they might try to study me for science and like, I mean, I guess I could just teleport on out of there, but
Yeah.
still, but like now I have to keep teleporting places so as that to stay ahead of everybody. You know what I mean? So like, because I have this crazy
Mm.
X-Men type of power. No one knows if I can read minds or not. No one
Yep.
will be able to know
True.
that as long as I
I
don't
get
tell
that.
anybody.
I mean, technically speaking, you could just teleport into a bank and,
Yeah, but now you're a thief.
Ah, true. Kind of.
You broke in. I mean, you literally broke into the bank. Instead of going through the front door, you just appeared. And you're
True,
still
true.
on camera, by the way. Just because you teleport them doesn't make you invisible.
Well, you could say that, like, you have stuff like masks and all, but, maybe I just
Okay,
watched too much
fine.
Money
You got
Heist.
masks on. But
No, that's
either
what I'm saying.
way,
I just watched too much Money Heist. That's all. Uh,
and that money's marked. What are you going to spend it on? And what are you going to do about taxes? All you have is a bunch of cash that you can't buy anything but groceries with it or something. You can't go and like buy a house because where'd you get all this money?
true. But again, let's just say, like, you see, if you're creative enough, you could probably make money out of it. I mean,
Yeah, but if
let's
I'm
say you can
library, I
tell.
don't have to be creative enough because the creativity is already done for me. I just saw it in somebody else's head.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, on that note, listen, guys, we're doing this every week. Love for you guys being a part of Dale Valor's Inner Game podcast. If you have any questions, all my contact information will be in the description of wherever you're listening or watching this on. Reach out. If you have a question for me, for Siobhan, for both of us, for none of us. Either way, we want to be able to be engaged with you. This is not just a thing of like me dictating what the rhythm of the show is going to be. I want you to participate. I want you to be the driving force and be here for you and get those inner game questions answered as needed. All right. So that's what this is about. So we will see you next week. And on that note, salute.
Peace. Bye-bye.